The food at our Grand Hyatt Hotel is really amazing. Han Shuamei proudly promoted the dishes made by her son's five-star chef. His eyes would occasionally glance at Gong Yakin beside him, as if he was enjoying the pleasure of showing off. However, the atmosphere suddenly changed. Lei Lei, a little boy next to him, turned around without hesitation, pointed at Su Yang's food and praised loudly, "These meals are delicious." Han Shuamei was confused. What on earth was going on? It was obviously the meal she had carefully prepared that was top-notch. But when she personally tasted the twice-cooked pork made by Su Yang, all her arrogance and show-off were instantly broken by the shocking deliciousness. The young man in front of her could actually make such an intoxicating dish. Han Shuamei stared at Su Yang for a long time. Hi everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you like this story, please let me know in the comments section. I will update the next part. Chapter 274. Little girl, listen to me, my son. When Han Shuamei saw Gong Yakin's cold face, she couldn't help but feel secretly happy. She continued with slightly provocative words. You really don't want to eat anything? I really prepared a lot. Look at this braised chicken nugget. It's so well made. It's so delicious. Isn't that right, Lele? Yes, Grandma. This meat is super delicious. Lele nodded heavily, indicating that he fully agreed with what Grandma Han Shuamei said. These dishes really taste quite good. He is worthy of being the chef in my dad's restaurant. Fei, we haven't seen each other for a long time. You remember me, right? I told you before that Jiang from our family. Han Shuamei took advantage of the situation and started chattering endlessly. From food to his son Lu Jiang, he couldn't stop talking. Seeing this, Xiao Fei was helpless and could only nod politely. If it weren't for the fact that Han Shuamei was her mother Gong Yakin's friend, she wouldn't have bothered to pay attention to her. But fortunately, I didn't fall in love with Lu Jiang at the beginning. Otherwise, if I were to get involved with such a mother-in-law, wouldn't it be a lot of trouble? All right, just shut up. Finally, Gong Yakin couldn't stand it anymore. This old best friend, this old woman, kept talking to herself all the time. Even Gong Yakin, who has always been of high quality, was a little broken. I don't think the food at your Grand Hyatt Hotel is delicious at all. I don't want to eat it. Finally, Han Shuamei heard Gong Yakin's words that broke through her defense. Not only was she not angry at all, but she smiled even more proudly. What I want is for you, Gong Yakin, to get anxious and lose your defense. Otherwise, it would be so boring if I'm the only one talking. We have known each other for so many years, and you, Gong Yakin, always have an advantage over me in everything. Whether in terms of family environment or her husband's career, Gong Yakin will always be more successful than herself. Han Shuamei believes that this is her fate. She was born with a good life. Now that she had a chance to anger the other party, she naturally would not let it go. Sister Yakin, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything. I was just inviting you to dinner with good intentions. Han Shuamei showed a confused and innocent expression, but she was actually secretly happy in her heart. At this time, the little guy Su Inua couldn't sit still anymore. My grandma is right. Although your family's food is delicious, it is definitely not as delicious as my father's. Your father? Han Shuamei was slightly stunned. What's wrong? Isn't my granddaughter's father my son-in-law? The food my son-in-law cooks is much better than the food in your shabby restaurant. Just wait and see if you don't believe me. Gong Yakin simply stopped pretending and even came to the shabby restaurant. Sister Yakin, let me say this, but even after so many years, you are still so obsessed with face. Han Shuamei smiled. In her opinion, the little guy Su Inua's father? She had never heard of this person at all. I don't know how Xiao Fei was so blind to marry that kind of man. I have no money, no identity, no background, and my hometown is still in the countryside. He is so different from his son Lu Jiang. She had said it long ago that apart from being a little handsome, the boy was not worthy of Xiao Fei at all. Now it's okay. They're broken up and divorced, right? But it's also a good thing this way, as their son Lu Jiang is also divorced, and the two families have been friends for so many years. She didn't dislike Xiao Fei, they could just make do with each other and live together. There is no need to force yourself to save face or anything like that, and start by talking about how great my son-in-law is and whether he can cook delicious food. If he could cook delicious food, would your Chow family hotel be in this state? Han Shuamei didn't take the little girl Su Inua's words seriously at all. Just treat it as the words of a child. Come on, dear grandson, let's have another bite. I asked your father, the hotel chef, to carefully select this goose meat, specially for your health. Oh, and these chicken wings, they're delicious too. Well, Grandma, these are so delicious. The little boy Lele's mouth was stuffed full. He kept praising the food in front of him for being delicious. Gong Yakin snorted coldly and turned her head away, not even bothering to look at it. Xiao Feifei remained calm. She found that although the little boy Lele said the food was delicious, he actually did not feel very happy when eating it. It even feels a bit like acting? Xiao Feifei pouted and pondered for a moment. She didn't think any further. After all, it was not a good idea to make random guesses about others. Just then, the doctor and the nurse from the hospital came in with the x-ray report of the little guy in their hands. Mrs. Chiao, Suinua is fine. He just has a little inflammation. It won't cause any serious problems. He should take something to reduce inflammation. What smells so good? The pediatrician's attention shifted from the little boy Su Inua to the bed next door. Han Shuame and her grandson Lele were seen having lunch, and every dish looked very luxurious. Braised lion's head, goose stewed in iron pot, bacon fried with cypress rice crust, warm lamb chops, Wadu stew, Zhu Ho cattle hoof and oxtail. The pediatrician in charge was a little surprised. No, isn't the person sitting next to him a patient? Do you really have the appetite to eat so much and eat so well? He was a little confused. Doctor, you haven't finished talking about my granddaughter's condition, Gong Yakin said with some dissatisfaction. Oh, yes. The pediatrician finally recovered. Don't worry, your granddaughter is fine. She just needs to take some anti-inflammatory medicine. We have also checked her other physical conditions thoroughly. The little girl is very healthy. After hearing what the pediatrician said, Gong Yakin finally breathed a sigh of relief and felt relieved. Xiao Feifei also smiled at the little guy. This should be the best news she had heard today. Doctor, do you want to try our food? Let me tell you, our food is ordered by the Grand Hyatt Hotel. You know that hotel, right? It's owned by my son. The chefs there are so skilled. If you go there by yourself, the queue will be very... After finding a new target, Han Shuame started chattering again, endlessly describing how delicious the food in front of her was and how great her son's hotel was. The pediatrician was indeed attracted by the fragrance and took a few more glances, but he couldn't stand Han Shuame's endless flattery. After glancing at Xiao Feifei and Gong Shuaqin behind them, they all looked helpless. No, I have things to do here. Besides, the hospital has already ordered standard meals. So, I'll go first. The pediatrician in charge was very polite and declined politely before preparing to leave. Han Shuame stepped forward and grabbed the young nurse who was about to leave with the pediatrician. Little girl, you haven't eaten yet? Let me tell you, my son. Chapter 275. I thought it was something else, it's all homely. The female nurse was held by Han Shuame's arm and couldn't leave even if she wanted to. She had no choice but to look at the doctor for help. At this moment, the pediatrician in charge naturally had an expression as if he wanted to avoid her if possible. How about you stay here and have a bite? I think the food is really delicious. After the pediatrician finished speaking, he slipped away first. Seeing this, the female nurse was helpless, but had no choice but to be pulled back by Han Shuame. Little nurse, I won't hurt you. There's too much food for us too, the grandparents and the grandchildren, to finish. Please help me. These are all specially made for the Grand Hyatt Hotel. Han Shuame's face showed pride and pride. Grand Hyatt Hotel? The female nurse didn't hear clearly when Han Shuame said it for the first time. After she repeated it again and again, the nurse finally reacted. Grand Hyatt Hotel is a 5-star hotel. Isn't the business over there very hot? I heard that people have to line up in advance. The female nurse couldn't help but speak. Oh, little nurse, I didn't expect you knew my son's hotel. Han Shuame was even happier when she heard the female nurse's words. You, son? The female nurse blinked, looking a little unbelieving. Of course, the owner of Grand Hyatt Hotel is my son, Lu Jiyang. After saying that, Han Shuame pointed at the little boy who was eating. Isn't this Lu Jiyang's son, my good grandson, Lele? The nurse nodded. Although she was surprised, she quickly digested it. After all, they are the city center hospital, which is considered a big hospital in the Magic City. Many wealthy people and high-ranking leaders choose to come here for hospitalization and treatment. At the moment, even if this old man and this young boy are really the owners of the Grand Hyatt Hotel, Lu Jiyang's biological mother and biological son, it is not particularly strange or rare. But she was actually somewhat tempted by the food in front of her. Grand Hyatt Hotel, that's a 5-star hotel. With her salary as a nurse, she wanted to go there for a meal? She couldn't afford it. And even if you want to eat, you usually have to make a reservation. Several times, she passed by the entrance of Grand Hyatt Hotel. It was packed with luxury cars of all sizes. Needless to say, Almost all the people who could eat there were rich people. In particular, the old man in front of me said that these meals were even specially prepared by the chef there. I want to make delicious food for my grandson, so the ingredients I use must be the best. The female nurse seemed even more excited. Well, okay. The female nurse finally compromised after smelling the tempting fragrance that kept wafting over. That's right. Look, you came to make rounds today, and I just happened to move here to meet my good friend. You see, this is called fate. Han Shuime talked incessantly, leaving the young nurse stunned. Gong Yakin on the side couldn't stand it anymore and shook her head. This Han Shuime was just trying to show off in front of her and was willing to do anything. You are already old, but you are still acting like a child? Come on, try it quickly. It won't taste good if it gets cold. Han Shuime said as she took out a pair of chopsticks and handed them to the nurse. She then glanced at Gong Yakin's direction from time to time, intentionally or unintentionally. If it tastes good, you should eat more. You can't be like some people who want to eat it, but pretend not to be interested. This is not good, don't you think, little nurse? The young nurse didn't know what to say. She just agreed awkwardly and picked up the chopsticks mechanically. Come on, eat as much as you can. These dishes are delicious. Han Shuime strongly recommended them and let the young nurse in front of her taste almost every dish. I have to say that these dishes taste really delicious. The food is delicious and worthy of the chef's craftsmanship of a top 5-star hotel. Compared with the meals served to hospital staff, this is simply the most delicious meal on earth. The little nurse found the food more delicious the more she ate it. Han Shuime saw this and was very happy. She looked at Gong Yakin from time to time, but the latter always had a cold face. Just wait, when my son-in-law comes, you, an old woman, will be in trouble. Gong Yakin's heart was surging. About 20 minutes later, the door of the ward was pushed open again and Su Yang finally came back. Dad. The little guy was the first to see Su Yang. He got out of bed immediately, trotted over and hugged Su Yang's thighs. Daddy, your little cutie is hungry. Su Yang's eyes were full of doting. He smiled and touched the little guy's head. Then go wash your hands quickly. I made you something you like to eat. Really, really? When the little guy heard this, his eyes lit up and his saliva couldn't stop flowing from the corners of his mouth. I knew it. Daddy is the best. The little guy turned around and took Xiao Feifei's hand, taking her to wash her hands. If she was alone, it would be difficult to reach the sink. On this side, Su Yang first set up the dining table on the hospital bed, and then put all the food he brought on it one by one. Because he didn't eat lunch today, and considering that there were Xiao Feifei, the little guy, Grandma Gong Yakin, and Xiao Wanshan who said he had gone to the toilet and had not returned yet, Su Yang also prepared a lot of food. Gong Yakin could no longer bear it. Su Yang had no idea how much injustice she had suffered in this ward. At this moment, she took the initiative to help Su Yang open all the lunchboxes. On the table, there were royal chicken wings, twice-cooked pork, fish-flavored shredded pork, kung pao chicken, crystal shrimp dumplings, chicken tofu pudding, and a tomato and egg soup. They were all simple home-cooked dishes. Han Shuime looked at them with some disdain. In fact, she had been secretly looking at him since the moment Su Yang entered the ward. I just want to see what delicious food this person that Gong Yakin has high hopes for can make. As for the result, not to mention how it tasted, it was all packaged in those cheap plastic boxes. At first glance, it looks like fast food bought from a street stall. No, can this kind of thing really be delicious? The disdainful look on Han Shuime's face was too obvious. In her opinion, she had already won this invisible contest. The two of them have been best friends for so many years, and I have always been one step behind Gong Yakin in everything. Now it's my turn to surpass her, right? Look at the dishes at home. They are all the hotel's signature dishes. Then look at Gong Yakin's. They are all ordinary home-cooked dishes. What else can compare? It's so easy to win. Just when Han Shuime thought she had won, a rich aroma slowly wafted out of the open lunchbox. Chapter 276, Su Yang's Delicious Food. You won't say a word while eating it. Sister Yakin, which fast food restaurant did you buy this lunch from? When Han Shuime saw Su Yang come in and looked at the plastic box containing the food, she didn't even look at him and naturally wasn't polite at all in her words. Gong Yakin was just about to speak when the little fellow Su Inua puffed out his chest and spoke with great pride. This isn't something you buy at a fast food restaurant. It's all made by my dad. It's delicious. I see. Han Shuime nodded indifferently, not taking it seriously at all. Children have a natural filter for their fathers. Even if what Su Yang cooks tastes bad, she will probably think it tastes good. Han Shuime showed a look of disdain on her face. Gong Yakin saw it and became quite angry. However, at this moment, Su-young opened the lid of the plastic box in front of him. The rich aroma of food wafted out instantly, completely covering up the smell of Han Shuimei's food. What is this scent? The little boy Lei, who was eating, and the female nurse looked over at the same time. Even Han Shuimei looked incredulous. Why does this food taste so delicious? Her eyes scanned back and forth over the lunchbox that Su-young opened. It was clearly just some ordinary food. It didn't make sense. How can these ordinary dishes be more delicious than the ones I brought back from a five-star hotel? Look at the skills of my son. The hotel chef, the dish presentation is so good. Look at Su-young's, it's just an ordinary family stir-fry. There's no comparison. But having said that, the problem is, the food Su-young opened was indeed a bit too fragrant. It's even a bit too fragrant. Originally, since entering the ward, Han Shuimei had been talking about how delicious the food in her son's hotel was. But in fact, I didn't eat much. To be honest, she had eaten too much of the food in big hotels. Although this time the food was specially made by the hotel's chef, it was not much better than usual. Han Shuimei wasn't very hungry, so she didn't eat much. However, the food that Su-young, who had just walked in, opened was so delicious that even she couldn't help but drool. Han Shuimei was speechless for a long time and couldn't say a word. On the other side, Xiao Feifei had already helped the little guy wash his hands, and now Sui Nua couldn't wait to start using the dishes. The food, which already exudes a unique and tempting aroma, will become even more fragrant. Xiao Feifei and Gong Yakin also picked up chopsticks and tried it a little. They found that the food cooked by Su-young was still so delicious. Even Gong Yakin, who was about to fight back, was too lazy to speak. She ate Su-young's delicious food without saying a word. Talking will only slow down your eating speed, so just enjoy it silently. Finally, as the aroma of the little guy's food continued to waft over, the little boy Lei couldn't help it anymore. Grandma, I want to try the chicken wings over there. Those chicken wings look delicious. The little boy Lei's eyes were on the royal chicken wings made by Su-young. The wings have an attractive golden red color and are fat and tender. After being cooked by Su-young, the meat becomes even more delicious, soft, smooth, and tender. This delicacy is as lethal to children as a nuclear explosion. Especially when looking at the little guy Su-inua eating with oil dripping from his mouth. It was so delicious. The little boy Lei's saliva was flowing out from the corners of his mouth. Grandmother. Han Shuimei was a little embarrassed. She never imagined that the dish cooked by Su-young had just been opened. This little grandson just chose to surrender? No. Didn't you just think that the food at Grand Hyatt Hotel was delicious? Why do you suddenly have no interest at all? Han Shuimei glanced at the young nurse next to her and saw that the nurse's eyes were also shining, staring straight at the delicious food on Su-young's table. Traitors. All of them are traitors. Han Shuimei couldn't help but complain in her heart, but she didn't know what to say. Regardless of the taste, even she had to admit that the food Su-young cooked was indeed a little too fragrant. The situation was a bit awkward for the moment. His little grandson Lei wanted to eat the food made by Su-young, but he had just shown off in front of Gong Yakin and even felt a bit like a villain. At this moment, how could she have the nerve to ask the other party to give the delicious food to her grandson to taste? But if she didn't take the initiative to speak, how could she, as a grandmother, bear looking at the eager and begging eyes of her little grandson? Just when Han Shuimei was hesitating, Gong Yakin took the initiative to pick up a pair of new chopsticks, picked up a piece of guifei chicken wing, and put it on the plate of the little boy Lei. Come on, eat it quickly and try whether this chicken wing suits your taste. Gong Yakin's tone was very gentle, as if nothing had happened just now. The little boy Lei instantly showed a happy smile on his face. He picked up the small spoon in his hand and put the guifei chicken wings into his mouth. As you chew the chicken wings, their unique silky and tender taste instantly spreads in your mouth. The skin is crispy and the meat is tender, and every bite makes people feel extremely satisfied, as if the taste buds on the tip of the tongue are dancing. Lei just couldn't stop. If the female nurse beside him hadn't reminded him, he would have almost swallowed the chicken bones. It's so delicious. The extremely happy expression on Lei's face expressed the deliciousness of the food without saying anything. He has grown up, and what has he not eaten in his father's hotel? Over the years, he, like his grandmother Han Shuimei, has become a little tired of the meals prepared by the chefs. At this moment, the imperial concubine chicken wings made by Su-young are simply the best chicken wings he has ever eaten in his life. It's hard to imagine that someone can make ordinary chicken wings taste like this. In Lei's eyes, compared with this imperial concubine chicken wings, All the dishes made by the so-called chefs in front of him pale in comparison. It's not tasty at all. Lei Lei had just finished eating a royal chicken wing, and he began to look at Gong Yakin with pitiful eyes again. Gong Yakin is naturally not a stingy person. Besides, what happened between her and her best friend Han Shuamei has nothing to do with children. She picked up another piece of crystal shrimp dumpling and gave it to the other person. The little boy Lei Lei just took a light taste, and his face was instantly filled with an expression of incomparable happiness. In his little world, he could no longer think of words to describe the deliciousness of the food in front of him. Although this crystal shrimp dumpling is not big, it is fresh, fragrant, and tender. In particular, Su Yang's dough-kneading skills and the golden ratio of stuffing, with the combination of double assistance and double completion, directly make the taste of this crystal shrimp dumpling reach the peak of taste buds. Chapter 277. No, there are still fathers like this in this world? The little boy Lele took a bite of the crystal shrimp dumpling and felt the deliciousness of Su Yang's cooking. Eating just one is not enough. This thing is like an addiction. Once you eat one, you can't help but want to eat the second, the third, and keep eating. Lele looked eagerly at the table next to him. There were so many delicious foods, but he couldn't even eat them. Seeing that Grandma Gong Yakin, who had just fed him, had turned around and started eating by herself, he was almost crying with greed. How can you bear this at such a young age? Grandma, I still want to eat. The little boy Lei spoke hurriedly, pointing in the direction of Su Yang, looking like he was about to cry. Now, Han Shuamei finally understood. It turns out that her best friend Gong Yakin really didn't do enough to save her own face. She refused the food she brought because she had better food over there. But, was this meal really made by Qiao Feifei's ex-husband? Could it be that he bought it secretly from their Qiao family hotel? However, when Han Shuamei smelled the extremely tempting fragrance in front of her nose, she felt that it was unlikely. If Qiao's hotel could really make such delicious food, why would it have fallen to this point today? Not to mention that they were overtaken by the Liu family. Even the Lin family, a new catering company that came from behind, would not be completely without rivals in the Magic City. Who is this man? Han Shuamei couldn't help but look at Su Yang for a long time, but she couldn't figure out his background at all. He looks so young. I just thought he has some top chef helping him. Wow. Grandma, I want to eat. When the little boy Lei saw that his grandmother Han Sheng hadn't said anything for a long time, he immediately burst into tears. I can only smell the fragrance of the food, but cannot eat it. This is simply torture. Sister Yakin, look, the child is crying. Can you? Finally, Han Shuamei's tone softened. All her love and efforts are now on this little grandson. Seeing her little grandson Lei crying is more painful than taking her life. Cry, just cry. The food in our house is so delicious that it will make you cry. Gong Yakin had a smile on her face. Han Shuamei's face froze. Okay, Gong Yakin, this is what you want to do, right? It tastes so good that it makes me cry. Is this how it is used? So my grandson is crying because the dish you just picked up was so delicious, right? Han Shuamei held her breath, but dared not to be angry or speak out. Now that the offense and defense were switched, she was counting on Gong Yakin to ask for her grandson to eat a few more bites. Otherwise, based on her understanding, if his baby Lei doesn't get what he wants, he will cry endlessly. Dad, this big piece of meat is for you to eat. Unlike Lele, who was crying sadly, the little guy Su Inua was extremely happy. The meal that Dad Su Yang prepared today was so sumptuous. Especially, every dish is so delicious. Just take a bite with your chopsticks and you'll feel completely satisfied. Mom, this crystal shrimp dumpling is for you. The little guy also picked up a piece of food with chopsticks for his mother Qiao Feifei. Thank you. Qiao Feifei looked very happy. Although the little guy picked up the food for Su Yang first, he did not forget about himself, which made Qiao Feifei very satisfied. After all, compared to Su Yang, my care and companionship for the little guy are far behind. In the past, she was not really a competent mother. It was only recently because of work that she had more contact with Su Yang and the little one. Qiao Feifei was touched and thought about spending more time with the little one in the future. Su Yang was very calm. He accepted the meat that the little guy put into his bowl without any fuss, and used his chopsticks to put some vegetables into the little guy's bowl. Dad! The little guy Su Inua looked at the green peppers in the bowl, his face changed, and even his smile disappeared. What's wrong? Su Yang acted as if nothing had happened. You? What are you still saying? I'll pick up some meat for you. And you'll pick up some green peppers for me? The little guy Su Inua's eyes were full of disbelief. No, there are still fathers like this in this world. Even if you are the cutest and most caring baby in the world, you cannot be treated so miserably. Green peppers? Is that something that people eat? Especially for a 3-year-old like me. Green peppers can supplement vitamins, which are needed for children's growth. Su-young said lightly, without giving the little guy any chance to refute. Seeing that his father Su-young was determined, the little guy knew it was useless to continue talking. She looked to her mother Xiao Feifei for help. Xiao Feifei nodded at the little guy. She was just moved, and now she really should do something for the little guy. She picked up the chopsticks, picked up a slightly smaller piece of green pepper, and put it in the little guy's bowl. Oh? Oh? The little boy Su Inua looked at his father Su Yang, and then at his mother Xiao Feifei. Now, she couldn't help but start to doubt her life. No. Am I your biological child? How could you have the heart to attack a little cutie like me? I pick up some meat and dumplings for you to eat, but you all pick up some green peppers for me? Can we still get along well as a family? The little guy Su Inua frowned, and his face looked like a bitter gourd. This expression would definitely look ugly if made by anyone else, but when it comes from Su Inua, it's kind of cute in a contrasting way. Su Yang, Xiao Feifei and Gong Yakin, who was watching the show nearby, all laughed. Seeing the three of them laughing, the little guy Su Inua felt even more uncomfortable. Eat quickly. Children need a balanced diet so that they can grow up healthily. Mom Xiao Feifei also gave an order. Woo-woo. The little guy Su Inua couldn't help but wail. Su Yang was very calm and composed. While the little guy was wailing, he slowly picked up 3 or 4 pieces of green peppers and put them into the little guy's bowl. If you don't eat them, the green peppers will grow more and more. Look, 2 pieces have grown into 6 pieces. After hearing Su Yang's words, the little guy looked into his bowl and found that the original 2 slices of green pepper had really turned into 6 slices. How can I finish this? Wow, wow, wow. Daddy, Mommy. The little guy looked at the 2 of them with pitiful eyes. However, Su Yang and Xiao Feifei didn't buy it at all. Gong Yakin felt a little reluctant at first, but when she saw her daughter Xiao Feifei's sudden look, she had to hold back. Eat it quickly, and after you finish eating it, Mom will take you to catch dolls. Xiao Feifei gave a very tempting reward. Really? The little guy's face finally returned to a smile, but it quickly faded again. Mom's skill in catching dolls is so poor, and she said she would help me catch them. Xiao Feifei. Chapter 278. You white-fanged wolf. Grandma loves you in vain. The little guy Su Inua pouted and finally forced himself to eat the green pepper. She had an instinctive resistance to green peppers since she was a child. After eating them all in one go, she felt like a general who had just won a battle, feeling both uncomfortable and excited. Grandma Gong Yakin still felt sorry for the little guy and quickly picked up a large piece of twice-cooked pork and fed it to the little guy. Grandma is always the best to me. The little guy ate it in one gulp, and his happy expression returned to normal. Xiao Feifei and Su Yang looked at each other and smiled helplessly. Grandma Gong Yakin is good in every way except that she sometimes spoils the little one too much. While they were having a great time, the little boy Lei on the other side could no longer resist the greed. He didn't know when he was leaning on the edge of Su Yang's bed. His eyes looked pitiful and aggrieved, staring at the food on the table with a shining gaze. Han Shuimei's face was filled with embarrassment, and the swagger she had just shown was gone in an instant. Seeing Han Shuimei give in, Gong Yakin didn't say anything, but picked up a plate and picked up some dishes made by Su Yang for the little boy Lei. Basically, he would take a little bit of each dish and then hand it to Lei. Wow, thank you, Grandma. Little Lei was still quite polite. After expressing his sincere gratitude, he took the plate from Gong Yakin's hand. Facing the delicious food in front of me, my saliva is swirling in my throat and my eyes are shining. He began to eat ravenously, stammering as he ate. It's delicious. Well, it's really delicious. To be honest, seeing Lei eating so happily, even Han Shuimei became a little curious. Is it really that delicious? Similarly, the female nurse who had just been eating heartily also stopped. In her opinion, the food at Grand Hyatt Hotel was already very fragrant and delicious. You know, her salary is not enough to afford eating in a restaurant. But the current situation is completely different. Ever since she smelled the delicious food from Su Yang's place, she felt that the food at the Grand Hyatt Hotel was not right the more she ate. Although the taste is still the same, I feel like something is missing and it doesn't taste as good as before. The female nurse raised her head, looked at Lei, and swallowed. He was eating so deliciously. As Han Shuimei got older, she ate very little. Even the food in her own hotel, she didn't eat much. It was the first time she saw her grandson Lei eating in such a way. He looked as if he was really fighting with someone. After so many years, The gluttony in her stomach was finally awakened again, and she stepped forward and spoke in a low voice. Lele, give Grandma a bite and see. No. Lele refused decisively. Are you still Grandma's good grandson? Grandma bought you so many delicious foods for nothing? You don't even want to eat a bite? Han Shuamei simply couldn't believe that her grandson, who used to be the best person in the world to her, would actually turn against her and disown her just because of a little food? All those delicious foods Grandma bought before are not as delicious as these. Lele couldn't stop chewing the crystal shrimp dumplings. You white-fanged wolf. Grandma loves you in vain. Seeing that the soft approach didn't work, Han Shuamei had to use the hard approach. Without saying anything, she picked up the chopsticks and picked up a piece of meat from the plate while her grandson Lele wasn't paying attention. Before the little grandson could react, Han Shuamei had already put it in her mouth. This meat? Han Shuamei ate the twice-cooked pork in her mouth and became more and more surprised. This twice-cooked pork is even more delicious than the one made by the chef in his son's restaurant. Fresh and tasty, fatty but not greasy. Both the taste and texture are impeccable. Perfect. Only these two words can explain Han Shuamei's evaluation of this twice-cooked pork. She couldn't help but look at Su Yong, who had a calm expression, and then moved her eyes to Gong Yakin. Sister Yakin, your son-in-law? Han Shuamei hesitated to speak. This young man was really outstanding. He was so young, but how could his cooking skills be so amazing? Even though it was just one bite, she was sure of it. This twice-cooked pork could never have been made by the chef at Xiao's hotel. There is no way their chef can make this taste. What's wrong with my son-in-law? Xiao Su is just an average kid. How should I put it? Apart from his good cooking skills, he looks okay. Gong Yakin finally waited for this moment. She suppressed her inner excitement and pretended to be calm on the surface, but in fact she was so happy that she felt like she was on heaven's edge. Is this what it feels like to get slapped in the face? It's really exciting. Han Shuamei, where is your rebelliousness and arrogance just now? Why are you so weak now? You don't have any pride at all? Yes, it's just that my son-in-law showed off his cooking skills a little bit, and that's all you can't do? That's really too bad. How can you fight me like this? Gong Yakin used all her strength to suppress the tendency of her mouth to curl up. There is no way. It's just too difficult. Han Shuamei saw it all, but what could she do? This time, she, who had always been competitive and loved to show off, had to admit that she had taken the initiative to humiliate herself. She never expected that she had even taken into account the taste of the chef of Xiao's hotel, but after all her calculations, who could have imagined that Su Yang would suddenly appear? Those three guys easily ruined the show-off plan that he had worked so hard to plan. Where can she go to seek justice? Your son-in-law is really good. Han Shuamei looked envious and stared at Su Yang. It's a pity that I gave birth to a son. It would be better if I had a daughter. She clearly knows that Gong Yakin's daughter Qiao Feifei and Su Yang are divorced, but she just has no chance. If I had a daughter, at least I would have some chance, right? You can't do this by yourself, right? Han Shuamei thought about it seriously and thought that if she was younger, she might have had some chance. But I'm already old and a grandmother, so there's no chance at all. Han Shuamei felt more and more uncomfortable when she thought of this. How many opportunities does a person have to show off in this life? Why is Gong Yakin so lucky? The more miserable this good friend in front of her felt, the happier Gong Yakin felt. Yes, go and regret it. My husband is not as good as me. I finally have a good son, but he is still far behind my son-in-law. Even though my daughter Qiao Feifei is managing a hotel, she is still a little bit lacking in business. But she is beautiful. Isn't it enough as long as Qiao Feifei can find a good man and come back? Look, isn't Su Yang the perfect man who is both outstanding and handsome? Even though they are divorced now, it's not a big deal. They both have children, so they can fight at the head of the bed and make up at the foot of the bed. Even if the two of them don't take the initiative to reconcile, she, as the mother-in-law, will force them to remarry even if she has to drug them. Gong Yakin is very firm in recognizing Su Yang as her son-in-law. Chapter 279. You know what? Su Yang's new car is a really good buy. After a delicious lunch, the little guy's throat no longer hurt and his body no longer felt uncomfortable. You can be discharged from the hospital, there's no problem. The pediatrician in charge said, biting a piece of chicken wing in his mouth. If he had known earlier, he would have come earlier. By the time he remembered to check on the ward, Su Yang and his family had already finished their meal. In the end, there was only one piece of royal chicken wing left. Although there was only one piece, I have to say it was really delicious. No, is your throat really no longer uncomfortable? Su-young squatted down and carefully checked the little guy's throat. His tonsils were still a little red. It's okay, Dad. I can eat a whole ice cream sundae now. The little guy patted his chest with full of energy. Oh, I see. Su-young slowly stood up, nodded, and then looked at Su Inua seriously. So you can now pay for the brain-smashing debt you just owed me, right? Ah. Su Inua quickly held his head and hid behind his grandmother Gong Yakin. Dad, really, is too much. He has just recovered from a serious illness. When everyone saw the little guy's aggrieved look, they couldn't help but laugh happily. After Han Shuame and Gong Yakin, the fake sisters, chatted with each other for a while, Su Yang and others officially left together. Han Shuame's grandson still needs to be hospitalized for observation, but it is not a big problem, and he will probably be discharged from the hospital in 3 or 2 days. Su Yang, we haven't seen each other for a long time. There's no need to leave so soon. I just happen to have some cooking questions that I want to ask you. Seeing Su Yang preparing to leave, Gong Yakin naturally grabbed him. In the hospital, his son-in-law did a lot to win face for him, unlike the old man Xiao Wanshan, who just found an excuse and slipped away. If Su Yang hadn't been here today, I would have lost face. Yes, Dad, I miss you too. The little guy Su Inua also walked up and held Su Yang's hand. Although this hand often makes her head explode, as long as she can spend more time with her father Su Yang, she would be willing to have her head exploded, let alone have it exploded. Of course, even if she was willing, her father Su Yang would definitely not be willing to let her go. Su Yang looked at the little guy, then at Gong Yakin, and at Xiao Feifei, who hadn't spoken for a long time but had some expectation in her eyes. Su Yang nodded. The little guy had just recovered from an illness, so he was a little worried about setting up a stall. Great, I want to ride in Dad's car. The little guy was very happy. When sending the little guy to the hospital today, it was naturally Xiao Wanshan who drove the car himself. But by this time, he had already left the hospital, saying that a good friend of many years had suddenly come to Shanghai, and he had to go and meet him. Xiao Feifei and Gong Shuichin couldn't take a taxi back now, right? Su Yang had to take the initiative to drive them home anyway. Grandma, my dad's car has a 15-inch LCD screen. There are also zero-gravity chairs. By the way, look, you can watch cartoons here. As soon as the little guy got in the car, he frantically showed off some of the functions of Su Yang's Rice Su 7 to Gong Yakin. To be honest, Gong Yakin doesn't quite understand these things. However, the car her husband Xiao Wanshan owns is a Bentley, worth about 3 million yuan. Although Su Yang has made a lot of money from setting up a stall recently, the car he bought can't be worth more than this price, right? How come his car has so many functions? Can it even drive intelligently? Today's technology is developing too fast. Under the arrangement of the little guy, Gong Yakin sat in the queen's car, feeling the seat massage function at multiple points on her back. It was such a pleasure. You know what? You really have to say, this new car Su Yang bought is really a good one. Seeing the joy in her mother Gong Yakin's eyes, Xiao Feifei gritted her teeth secretly. What new car did Su Yang buy? I paid for it. 300,000. Xiao Feifei felt heartbroken just thinking about it. I spent all the money myself, but this one was all pretended by Su Yang. When the two of them were still together, he also pretended, but not like this. Before driving, Su Yang had already posted the latest news in the group, and the stall opening in the afternoon was temporarily cancelled. At this moment, there was a lot of wailing among the Penguin Gourmet group. What's wrong with Boss Su recently? Why doesn't he set up his stall? Boss Su, you must not change your mind. You must insist on setting up the stall. Alas, I can't eat Boss Su's delicious food today. My life is dark. I remember running under the sunset that day. That was my lost youth. Boss Su, are you going to open the stall tonight? I'll wait for you. I'll wait till death. The food industry cannot exist without Boss Su. Just like the West cannot exist without Jerusalem, Dragon Country cannot exist without Chao County. The 3D area cannot exist without Tifa, and the AI area cannot exist without Big Mimi. Su Yang naturally couldn't see the wailing in the group, and Xiao Feifei only took a glance and her face turned slightly red. No, is this a food group or some other group, Su Yang? Why do you talk so weird? Is this how you were supposed to use AI technology? This is a waste. It took Su Yang less than half an hour to drive to Xiao Wenshan's villa. The little guy Su Inua was very happy when he got off the car, jumping all the way. I had been thinking that because I had to be with my grandparents today, I wouldn't be able to see my father Su Yang the whole day. But I didn't expect that just because of a small accident, my dad would come. She was so happy. Dad, shoes, let me change your slippers. The little guy took the initiative to bring Su Yang a new pair of slippers and helped Su Yang put them on. Cough, cough. Xiao Feifei saw it and couldn't help but coughed softly. Oh, right. The little girl finally remembered something. She turned her head and looked at her mother Xiao Feifei, tilting her head back. Mom, can you help Nuonyuo change his slippers? Xiao Feifei had a cold face and was speechless. No, what do you mean? You took the initiative to change slippers for Su Yang, and now I am the one who changes slippers for you? You're hungry again and want to eat something that will make your brain explode, right? Xiao Feifei said unhappily. Now she has completely learned Su Yang's skills in dealing with the little guy. As soon as she stretched out two slender white fingers, the little guy began to stick out his tongue and beg for mercy. Just kidding. How could I not bring slippers for my dearest mama? As the little guy spoke, he happily took Xiao Feifei's exclusive pink slippers. At the same time, Grandma Gong Yakin's slippers were also placed at the door. However, neither of them received the same treatment as Su Yang. Whether it was Gong Yakin or Xiao Feifei, they had to change their slippers by themselves in the end. Chapter 280 actually. It's okay for me to be the younger one. In the villa, Su Yang had just sat down when Gong Yakin took him aside to ask about his well-being and chat about family matters, as if she didn't treat him as an outsider at all. Su Yang was quite calm and didn't blame anyone at all. Su Yang, look at you. Are you very busy recently? You're busy setting up the stall every day, and I see that you seem to have lost a lot of weight. Gong Yakin stared at Su Yang's handsome face for a while and said with some heartache, Not busy. I'm used to it now. Su Yang said with a smile on his face. Besides, the days of setting up the stall are also very fulfilling. Hearing Su Yang's words, Gong Yakin nodded, always feeling that the young man in front of her seemed different from before. I remember that when Su Yang first came to their house, he was still very reserved. Gong Yakin did the same at that time. She kept taking the initiative to chat with Su Yang and asked him how he and his daughter Xiao Feifei met. However, at that time, the old-fashioned Xiao Wenshan was also there. Compared to that time, Su Yang now looks obviously more confident and energetic. A genuine sunny and handsome young man. Gong Yakin was even more satisfied with Su Yang now, and she glanced at Xiao Feifei from time to time. At this moment, Xiao Feifei was curled up on the sofa, scrolling through her cell phone. For her, it was actually a bit embarrassing at the moment. I don't know why, but ever since the last time she drank the liver paste soup, every time Xiao Feifei saw Su Yang, she would secretly glance at him for some unknown reason. Every time I see him, I feel that he is more handsome and better looking than the last time. To be honest, Xiao Feifei didn't know what was wrong with her or what was wrong with her. Sister Feifei, let's go. At this moment, Feng Xiaoya's WeChat message came, and Xiao Feifei was confused. What are you going to do? Xiao Feifei asked back. Didn't you read the group message? Su Yang won't be setting up his stall this afternoon, so let's go straight to his house. Feng Xiaoya added after she finished speaking. Eat something delicious. Xiao Feifei secretly took a photo of Su Yang opposite her and sent it to her. Oh? Feng Xiaoya seemed very excited. TSK, I was wondering why Su Yang, the hard-working stall owner, didn't set up shop today. Turns out he's here to accompany his mother-in-law. What are you talking about? Xiao Feifei blushed slightly. Are you still pretending, Sister Feifei? I felt something was wrong last time. No, it should be said that something was very wrong. Feng Xiaoya was very excited, as if a paparazzi had smelled some big news. Last time I contacted you, you were at Su Yang's house. This time, it's Su Yang who came to your house. Tell me, next time we have to be in AI's new home? Is it in the master bedroom of your villa? Or the kitchen? The bathroom? The balcony? The sofa? It can't be outdoors again, right? Xiao Feifei's face was full of black lines. What on earth are you talking about? If you don't believe me, you can just come over here. You are familiar with my house anyway. I'm not coming. Why should I come to your family dinner? Feng Xiaoya typed righteously. However, I won't be a light bulb this time. You must take me with you next time. Actually, it's okay for me to be the younger one. Xiao Feifei was completely speechless. What was going on with Feng Xiaoya? What about kitchen, toilet, balcony, sofa? I don't understand anything at all. What about the outdoors? Outdoor sports are only, well, occasionally. Xiao Feifei's face turned red. She stood up and walked to the kitchen, opening the refrigerator to cool it down physically. Hearing the noise in the kitchen, the little guy said excitedly, Mom, can you help me get an ice cream? No. Xiao Feifei regained her composure. Why? Mommy, the little guy asked coquettishly. Su Yang said that you have already eaten all the ice cream this week. If you want to eat more, you have to wait until next week. Ah. The little boy Su Inua's pitiful gaze quickly shifted to his father Su Yang. Dad, No. Su Yang also refused decisively. But I really want to eat ice cream. My throat is about to smoke. Su Inua's main point is that as long as there is a glimmer of hope, he will never give up. Her aggrieved gaze switched frantically between Su Yang, Xiao Feifei, and her grandmother Gong Yakin. If someone didn't know her, looking at her pitiful big eyes, they would really think that the little girl was bullied. No, we should stick to principles, right? An agreement is an agreement. Su Yang was very serious. After hearing Su Yang's words, not only the little one, but even his grandmother Gong Yakin nodded in agreement. Helplessly, the little guy Su Inua had to give up in the end. Good, you're a big boy now. Su Yang praised Su Inua when he saw him settle down, then turned to Xiao Feifei who was still in the kitchen. Please give me an ice cream cone. Chocolate flavor is fine. Oh? Under the incredulous gaze of the little boy Su Inua, his mother Xiao Feifei took out 3 ice creams from the refrigerator. Chocolate flavor, vanilla flavor, mango flavor. They are all the little one's favorites. However, none of these 3 ice creams belonged to her. Su Yang, Xiao Feifei, and Gong Yakin each took one and started eating it. The little girl could only watch helplessly as she struggled against her inner desires, her saliva almost flowing out. I really want to eat it. Wow. I'm a big boy. This little temptation is nothing. The little guy comforted himself on the verge of collapse. I don't like the fragrant, sweet ice cream. I'm not a 3-year-old kid anymore. Although the little guy tried his best to convince himself, the more he talked, the greedier he became. Finally, on the verge of collapse, Su Yang gave the little guy a bite of his ice cream. Hee, the ice cream is so delicious. Su Inua came back to life instantly. Seeing the cute look of the little guy, everyone laughed happily. After finishing the ice cream, Gong Yakin got down to work. She walked into the kitchen and asked Su Yang to provide technical guidance. Although the villa has hired a professional nanny, she doesn't have to cook at all. But the little guy just can't get used to it. In other words, after tasting the delicious food made by Su Yang, one's taste for food has become extremely picky. There was no other way. So Gong Yakin decided to work hard and try to regain the cooking skills she had lost. I can also make it for my precious granddaughter when she comes. Su Yang nodded to show that he understood. But Mom, the eggplant you bought first is not good. For minced meat eggplant, you must buy tender ones. When choosing, you should pinch the center of the thin skin to see if there is any black spot. Only in this way can the eggplants you buy have a springy texture. Chapter 281. Tell me, which dish is the most delicious? Su Yang was right behind Gong Yakin, giving extremely detailed instructions on every dish she made. Even for a simple dish like stir-fried vegetables, Su Yang can give a fancy description. After hearing these details, Gong Yakin was enlightened and suddenly realized everything. It turns out that cooking can be done this way. Many things were heard for the first time, even by Gong Yakin, whose family ran a hotel. Even the order of cooking is very particular. For example, the order of seasoning for stir-frying vegetables is salt, sugar, and vinegar. When it comes to stir-frying the meat, the order will become sugar, cooking wine, vinegar, salt, and soy sauce. As for stewing and braising, the order of putting them in will be different. It can be said that no matter what you cook, even if the order of adding the seasonings is wrong, the difference in taste will make a huge difference. To be honest, when Gong Yakin was young, she only cooked some home-cooked meals. How could she have paid attention to studying this? Later, after Xiao Feifei was born, they simply hired a maid to take care of the child. She almost never went into the kitchen to cook anymore. His cooking skills, which were already very unfamiliar, gradually became more proficient and better than before under Su Yang's guidance. Is this what it feels like to stand on the shoulders of giants? Gong Yakin will understand the extraordinary cooking skills of Su Yang more and more when she throws herself into the kitchen. Not only can he cook his own dishes, he also has a deep understanding and research on other dishes. This is what it means to know everything. Soon, under Su Yang's guidance and after continuous trial and error, Gong Yakin completed today's dinner. Fortunately, her refrigerator was big enough and there were enough ingredients, so the maid would go to the market every day to buy the freshest vegetables of the day. This made it so that the food she had wasted before would not be affected. As the dishes were brought to the table from the kitchen, everyone couldn't help but be dazzled. Especially at this time, Chow and Shan finally came back. He looked at the table full of sumptuous dinner and couldn't help but speak. You're not going to tell me that you did all this? Gong Yakin smiled proudly. Why are you doubting me? You know my skills when I was young. It's because I know that I don't dare to believe it. Chow Wen-shan found a seat and sat down naturally. Although he was still ruthless in his words, His eyes were obviously full of anticipation. Over the years, he hasn't eaten the food cooked by his wife Gong Yakin for a long time. Come and try it. Have my cooking skills deteriorated over the years? Gong Yakin was also very much looking forward to it. In fact, she knew that Xiao Wanshan wanted to eat the food she cooked. But, to be honest, Gong Yakin just didn't have confidence in herself. When she was young, her cooking skills were not very good. But at that time, Xiao Wanshan was still a poor boy and it was good enough for him to have a full meal. Later, when Xiao Wanshan became rich, he had eaten all kinds of delicacies from land and sea and had visited all kinds of big restaurants. How can I satisfy him with my limited cooking skills? Gong Yakin was not without self-awareness. She found an excuse to take care of the children and simply stepped down. But over the years, especially in recent years, Xiao Wanshan even took the initiative to hint, intentionally or unintentionally, that Gong Yakin should cook for him. She heard it all, but she had no confidence. Like her daughter Xiao Feifei, she also had to save face. Today she asked Su Yang to improve his cooking skills so that he could cook for the little one in the future. In fact, Gong Yakin didn't say that she also wanted to cook for her husband Xiao Wanshan to try. In fact, after Xiao Wanshan learned that his wife Gong Yakin was finally willing to cook, he rushed back as soon as possible. Originally, he had already arranged everything for tonight, including a meeting with a very important person. But what could be more important than having your wife cook for you herself after many years? He would regret it if he couldn't become his wife Gong Yakin's first diner. Delicious. This minced meat eggplant is really authentic. Xiao Wanshan took a bite of the dish in front of him with his chopsticks. The eggplant has a thick texture, is soft and delicate. The minced meat is tender and juicy, and has just the right amount of saltiness, which blends perfectly with the flavor of the eggplant. After just one bite, Xiao Wanshan seemed quite satisfied. Of course, this is not to say that this dish of minced meat and eggplant is without flaws. Gong Yakin still lacks a little in terms of control of the heat. But this is nothing compared to the fact that my wife is cooking again after so many years. The familiar taste and texture made Xiao Wanshan stunned and distracted. His mind couldn't help but recall what happened many years ago. At that time, he had just arrived in the Magic City alone. The Magic City at that time was not so prosperous yet. Although there were many job opportunities, the skinny and little Xiao Wanshan was always looked down upon. Later, Xiao Wanshan simply set up his own stall and started doing business. Braised 3 fresh vegetables. This was once Xiao Wanshan's best dish. Later, he taught it to his wife Gong Yakin personally. He took out a spoon and slowly tasted it. The soup is thick and white, and tastes fresh and refreshing when you drink it. If you swallow it slowly, it will leave a lingering fragrance on your lips and teeth, leaving an endless aftertaste. Well, this stewed 3 fresh vegetables is really delicious. The most important thing about stewing 3 fresh delicacies is to have a layered taste. The selected shrimps must be plump and elastic. The meat slices must be tender and have a strong meaty aroma. The meatballs must be crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. And the bean curd skin and green vegetables must fully absorb the essence of the soup. Xiao Wanshan only took 1 bite and was very satisfied with the dish. Yes, so many years have passed, and you haven't forgotten everything I taught you. Xiao Wanshan showed a rare smile. Stop being so conceited. It wasn't you who taught me that. It was Xiao Su, my son-in-law, who taught me that. Gong Yakin retorted directly, but when she heard Xiao Wanshan's compliment, she couldn't hide the smile on her face. Su Yang. Xiao Wanshan's gaze couldn't help but move to Su Yang. Su Yang had a faint smile on his face. Even when facing Xiao Wanshan, he remained calm and composed, neither humble nor arrogant. Not bad. Xiao Wanshan nodded, and even the way he looked at Su Yang was much better than before. Su Yang didn't care too much about it. He did all this without any intention of pleasing Xiao Wanshan. He only does what he wants to do. As for what Xiao Wanshan is like, to be honest, Su Yang doesn't care at all now. Old Xiao, which dish of mine do you think is the most delicious? After receiving praises from her husband Xiao Wanshan, her daughter Xiao Feifei, and her granddaughter Su Inhua, Gong Yakin was now in a state of pride and was urging them to smell it with great anticipation. Which dish is the most delicious? Xiao Wanshan asked almost without hesitation after tasting every dish on the table. This twice-cooked pork is the best. Gong Yakin's face suddenly darkened and wilted, and she spoke coldly with an expressionless face. There are so many dishes on the table, but this is the only one that was made by Su Yang. Xiao Wanshan. Chapter 282. Really? Thank you, Mom. As Gong Yakin spoke, the scene became a little awkward for a moment. Especially Xiao Wanshan. He originally wanted to flatter his wife so that she could cook for him more often in the future. right? As a result, I accidentally photographed the horse's leg. Xiao Wanshan was speechless and could only turn his reproachful gaze towards his daughter Xiao Feifei. Why didn't you remind me earlier? When their eyes met, Xiao Feifei naturally understood what Xiao Wanshan meant, and her cold eyes conveyed his confidence. How would I know? I haven't eaten a single bite yet. Xiao Wanshan took a sip of water tactically, then looked at Gong Yakin with a slightly resentful look. Well, actually, the minced meat, eggplant, and potato beef you made are both really delicious. Look, this beef and potatoes go really well with rice. As if to prove himself, Xiao Wanshan picked up a piece of potato beef with chopsticks and drank 2 mouthfuls of rice. I even almost choked. This made Gong Yakin both angry and amused. She did not continue to pretend to complain, but patted Xiao Wanshan on the shoulder. Look at you, you're already old, but you can't even eat as well as a child. Seeing that Gong Yakin was not angry, Xiao Wanshan smiled easily. He has never been nice to anyone in his life. But there is only my wife Gong Yakin. After all, from her most destitute time, when she was almost penniless, Gong Yakin was already a member of a wealthy family at that time. But he never despised me at all, and has been silently supporting me behind the scenes for so many years. It is no exaggeration to say that without Gong Yakin, there would be no Xiao Wanshan today. There is no Qiao Family Hotel in Shanghai today. Gong Yakin and Xiao Wanshan looked at each other, and both of them were looking at each other. I haven't had this feeling for many years. I didn't expect that just because of Su Yang's help, a dinner would have such an effect. If it had been a dozen years earlier, maybe Xiao Feifei would have had a younger sister. Grandma, your beef is so delicious. I love it so much. The little guy Su Inua was eating beef happily while giving a thumbs up to praise Gong Yakin's cooking skills. Gong Yakin, who was already very happy, was even happier at this moment. Even the way he walks seems to be 20 years younger. Wait a minute, I'll get you some drinks. Gong Yakin's extreme happiness was so obvious in her words. Xiao Feifei saw it all and couldn't help feeling happy for her mother Gong Yakin. Even her face, somehow, turned into a smile. As her eyes followed her mother Gong Yakin, Xiao Feifei saw Su Yang sitting opposite her. The moment their eyes met, Xiao Feifei's heartbeat quickened. What's wrong with me? She's not 17 or 18 years old. How can she still have such a heart-pounding change of emotions? Xiao Feifei was stunned and couldn't believe it. Is this still herself? She quickly looked away and finally lowered her head to her bowl. Although she wanted to avoid the embarrassment by eating, Xiao Feifei's mind couldn't help but start to wander to random thoughts. To be honest, in all these years, when has the relationship between my family ever been so harmonious? Dad Xiao Wanshan is just like me on weekdays, always with a stern face and a serious attitude towards everything he does. Although his attitude towards Mom Gong Yakin is okay, it is more like a master-servant relationship. It can be said that Gong Yakin took care of almost all of Xiao Wanshan's life. She was so attentive in many things that even a nanny could not do. After so many years, Xiao Wanshan seemed to have gotten used to this kind of care, so the relationship between the couple was a little strange. As for Mother Gong Yakin, she is considerate, gentle, and caring, and is exactly what countless men dream of. But Xiao Feifei rarely feels the love for Gong Yakin, and it is also difficult for her to feel the love between Gong Yakin and Xiao Wanshan. Most of the time, the relationship between their family is as dull as water. There were no quarrels or warmth, and everyone kept their emotions to themselves. It seemed as if some kind of agreement had been formed, and no one took the initiative to break it. Only when the little guy Su Inua comes, the deserted home will be filled with some laughter. But when the little guy is gone, everything will return to normal. Xiao Feifei doesn't like this kind of environment very much, which is why she lives outside alone. At this moment, what was unexpected was that because of Su Yang's arrival, everything became completely different. To be honest, it was the first time that Xiao Feifei saw Gong Yakin and Xiao Wanshan like this. It turns out they also have their own love story. Xiao Feifei was very touched, and the little guy had already started eating heartily. Su Yang picked up a lot of dishes for Su Inua, but they were all vegetarian dishes. After all, the little guy was too ferocious when eating meat. It was like a hungry wolf cub. Its fighting power was terrifying. Eat more vegetables and have a balanced diet. Su Yang reminded while picking up some vegetables. I know, Dad. The little girl didn't refuse. She ate whatever her father Su Yang picked for her. She was not picky at all. After finishing all the vegetables in the bowl, the little guy still wanted to eat the twice-cooked pork made by Su Yang. But the last piece of twice-cooked pork was taken away by Mother Xiao Feifei, who had just recovered. The little guy's pretty and delicate face instantly revealed a trace of sadness. Seeing this, Su Yang took the piece of twice-cooked pork from his bowl with a doting smile. Dad has it here. Su Yang was very gentle. Hee hee, Daddy is so nice. The little guy's frustration disappeared, and even his eyes were shining. Dad is still the best. However, the little guy looked at the large piece of twice-cooked pork in the bowl and did not choose to eat it immediately. She glanced at her mother Xiao Feifei beside her, and then spoke in a baby voice. Mom, do you want to eat twice-cooked pork? Hearing the little guy's words, Xiao Feifei was slightly stunned. She looked at the twice-cooked pork in the little guy's bowl and instantly understood what was going on. She was a little touched. She didn't expect that the little guy was so sensible. Xiao Feifei shook her head and showed a beautiful smile. Mom doesn't want to eat it, Nuonuo. You eat it. Really? Thanks, Mama. After saying that, the little guy didn't hesitate at all and directly stretched out his chopsticks to pick up the twice-cooked pork that Xiao Feifei had just picked up from his bowl. Oh? The smile on Xiao Feifei's face disappeared instantly. What's even more outrageous is that the little guy even gave the meat he took from Xiao Feifei's bowl to Su Yang. She spoke in a soft and pleasant voice. Dad, Mom said she doesn't want to eat twice-cooked pork, so let's have one each. Xiao Feifei's heart was boiling with emotion, but she remained silent. Chapter 283. It's only a few steps away. What do you want me to deliver? Xiao Feifei was completely speechless. What does this little guy mean? So this is what it means to ask yourself whether you like twice-cooked pork or not. She just felt her fingers were a little itchy. I really want to hit the little guy hard on the head twice. This little guy is really drifting away now. From the moment you walked in the door, you didn't treat me as your real mother at all, right? It's fun to bounce back and forth on the edge of a brain explosion, right? Xiao Feifei even began to doubt whether the little girl was her biological daughter. Isn't it said that daughters are their mother's little cotton-padded jackets? How come this cotton-padded jacket of mine is a summer jacket? You don't have any love for your mother at all, right? Oh, that's not the case. Xiao Feifei remembered that Su Yang brought her lunch at noon in the hospital. The little guy gave me a piece of green pepper that he didn't like to eat. Thinking of this, Xiao Feifei felt a little depressed. It's not really because of a piece of twice-cooked pork. It's just that my daughter is too biased towards her father. The look in Xiao Feifei's eyes when she looked at the little guy was cold and filled with murderous intent. No wonder it is said that daughters are their father's lovers in the previous life, and are here to compete with their mothers for husbands in this life. Now Xiao Feifei is beginning to believe it a little. Gong Yakin and Xiao Wanshan naturally saw this scene. But both of them are in a good mood now, especially the little cutie Su Inua, who is extremely doting and partial to him. Isn't it just a piece of twice-cooked pork? What happened to your lovely granddaughter? Didn't your parents do the same to you when you were little? Seeing the smiles on Gong Yakin and Xiao Wanshan's faces, Xiao Feifei felt even more uncomfortable. No, do you two really have the nerve to say that? When I was little, what did you ever give me? Xiao Feifei had a cold face. She was not that angry at first, but she became even angrier when she thought about her childhood. At that time, when did Xiao Wanshan pamper himself like he pampered the little guy? And her mother, Gong Yakin, doesn't have that kind of expression where she smiles endlessly every day when she sees her granddaughter. Her childhood was filled with responsibilities, and one could even say that she was raised as a boy. Xiao Feifei sighed helplessly and felt even more speechless. After dinner, the little boy Su Inua was watching cartoons, and on the table in front of the sofa were various kinds of cut fruits. While watching cartoons, Su Inua picked up a piece of fruit with a small fork, first fed it to his father Su Yang, and then fed himself another piece. Xiao Feifei was standing aside. She was too embarrassed to watch any further, and the more she watched, the angrier she became. Is the little girl ready to piss herself off today? Has she been wanting to find a new mother for a long time? Gong Yakin is in a very good mood now. She can cook such delicious meals, all thanks to Su Yang. Now, she treated Su Yang like her own son, and her eyes were filled with tenderness that Xiao Feifei had never seen before. Su Yang, are you going to set up a stall tonight? It depends on the situation. It's hard to say. The main reason is that many old customers in the group are urging them. They are a bit greedy, Su Yang said with a smile. The customers in the group are urging us to order? Are they a little greedy? Gong Yakin was slightly confused, but then she reacted. This should be Su Yang's more restrained and low-key statement. In fact, she also had some knowledge about Su Yang's stall. She heard that in his food group, every time Su Yang posted a stall announcement, when Su Yang arrived at the stall location, there would be at least 100 people waiting early. It can be said that Su Yang is really extraordinary to be able to set up a stall to this extent. Thinking back to the past, he and Xiao Wanshan were worried about Su Yang and said they wanted He Yongnian to help compensate him. Arrange a good job for Su Yong, such as being a manager or something. But now it seems that I completely underestimated them at that time. With Su Yang's ability, he doesn't need to ask anyone for anything. In fact, it was his daughter Qiao Feifei who sometimes needed Su Yang's help with some things. Last time, Gong Yakin had naturally heard about what happened to Boss Gao of Changshan Group. Although Qiao Wenshan didn't say anything, he was quite satisfied with Su Yang's performance. You know, Boss Gao is a tough nut to crack. Even Xiao Wenshan himself was not sure of the outcome, but he didn't expect that he would be easily defeated by Su Yang with the liver paste soup. Speaking of which, Gong Yakin also wants to try this delicious liver paste soup. Grandma, my dad has a lot of fans. He's a big star. The little guy Su Inihua suddenly turned around and hugged Su Yang's neck, then put his little face against Su Yang's face and said happily, Okay. Grandma knows that your father Su Yang is a very good man. Gong Yakin looked at Su Yang with unreserved admiration in her eyes. This kind of man is the man of their Chao family. Of course. The little guy immediately nodded in agreement. Several people sat in the living room for about half an hour. Su Yang looked at the time, stood up and prepared to take the little guy away. Su Inihua waved her little hand and said to Gong Yakin and Qiao Feifei, Goodbye, Grandma. Goodbye, Mommy. Please come to our house to play next time. I'm going back to being my little boss now. Hearing the little guy's soft and cute voice, Gong Yakin was really reluctant to let him go. She walked over and stuffed another handful of candy into the little guy's pocket. These candies were all bought by Gong Yakin herself, specially waiting for the little one to eat them. But Su Yang was here today, so even Gong Yakin didn't dare let the little guy eat too much. It's almost time to leave, and if I don't grab a handful for the little one, nothing will work. Su Yang could only watch and could not say anything to stop it. However, he was not in a hurry. Although I can't refuse Gong Yakin for the time being, isn't it easy to deal with the little guy? They will all be confiscated by her in a moment. At this moment, the little guy is still immersed in the joy of having a bag full of candies and has no idea about the tragedy of candy confiscation that is about to happen. Su Yang, please drive safely when you go home at night. Gong Yakin sent the two of them to the door and said goodbye reluctantly. Don't worry, I know. Su Yang nodded and looked at Qiao Feifei again. I'm leaving. Gong Yakin was very dissatisfied when Qiao Feifei only answered with the word, No, I've helped you so much, and all you say is This unlucky child. Su Yang is such a good man. Why doesn't she quickly chase him back? What is she thinking about all day? Seeing this, Gong Yakin pushed Qiao Feifei from behind. Before Qiao Feifei could react, the door of the villa slammed shut. Outside the door, Qiao Feifei looked at Su Yang and then at the little guy, confused. No, isn't Su Yang's car right at the door? It's only a few steps away. What do you want me to deliver? I might as well give myself to him. Chapter 284 Mom, Grandma doesn't want you anymore? Qiao Feifei was very embarrassed standing outside the door, especially since the key to her villa and her bag were still inside the house. Qiao Feifei, Su Yang, and the little guy looked at each other. She was embarrassed. She turned around and knocked on the door, but there was no response. Even the doorbell went unanswered. Qiao Feifei's face became redder and redder. Although she was facing away, she could still clearly feel Su Yang's gaze behind her. Now she wishes she could find a hole to crawl into. This is too embarrassing. Mom Gong Yakin is really going too far. Qiao Feifei took out her cell phone and called, but Gong Yakin was determined and did not answer on purpose. I called Feng Xiaoya, but she hung up immediately. There was even no response to WeChat messages. Qiao Feifei frowned, feeling very strange. Logically speaking, how could Feng Xiaoya, who loves gossip and fun, not answer the phone? In all likelihood, it was Mother Gong Yakin's fault again. Qiao Feifei sighed, slowly turned around, and looked at Su Yang and the little guy who had not left. I'll go back to the company and sleep. Okay. Qiao Feifei forced a smile. Mom, doesn't Grandma want you anymore? The little guy blinked his big bright eyes. He looked harmless and cute, but the words he said were really too heartbreaking. Qiao Feifei looked at the little guy in silence. How could she respond to this? There was no way to respond to this. How can someone so young say something so hurtful? What does Grandma doesn't want you anymore mean? Can't you say something nicer? It makes me, Qiao Feifei, feel like someone is disliked by others. Mom, it's okay. Grandma doesn't want you, but I want you. The little guy Su Inihua showed a cute smile to Qiao Feifei. Just when Qiao Feifei was slightly moved, the little guy continued. Dad will take you in. Qiao Feifei was speechless again. She glanced at Su Yang, who was also a little embarrassed. Isn't it a bit inappropriate to use the word shelter here? Su Yang was also a little embarrassed. The little guy clearly didn't know many Chinese characters, but he could speak a lot of words from his little mouth. It's as if Xiao Feifei is the kind of Sayu who ran away from home and lived on the streets. Don't ask Su Yang how he knows this. The question is, who hasn't appreciated one or two foreign classics when they were young? Su Inua blinked his big eyes and looked at Xiao Feifei expectantly. His eyes seemed to be saying, "Mom, isn't your little cutie very good? Why don't you praise your little cutie?" Xiao Feifei was speechless. Praise? I'm already good enough if I didn't treat you to chestnuts. Su Yang walked up and touched the little guy's head, then tried to smooth things over and spoke slowly. Since the little guy invited you, why don't you sleep with him tonight? Okay. Xiao Feifei nodded. There's no way. She really has nowhere to go now. As Su Yang unlocked the car, Xiao Feifei sat in the passenger seat, while the little guy happily sat in the back seat and watched cartoons on a tablet. She was really happy today, especially because she could sleep in the arms of her mother Xiao Feifei again tonight. Xiao Feifei's body is soft, fragrant, and big. It is so comfortable whether you squeeze your head in it or use it as a pillow. The little guy still likes to sleep with his mother Xiao Feifei. The journey was smooth and unobstructed. For Su Yang's driving skills, as long as the road was not blocked, it had no effect on him at all. After returning to the rental house, Su Yang poured a glass of lemonade for Xiao Feifei, then looked at the two of them and said, "It's getting late. You guys should take a rest first. I have to go to the stall soon." As Xiao Feifei looked at the lemonade in front of her, her mood finally eased, and she even felt a little secretly happy inside. At this moment, because she was driven out by Gong Yakin, what she was wearing was completely different from usual. The clothes were very homely, with a light milk tea-colored cotton short-sleeve top and khaki casual shorts. Because of the shorts, most of the two white and slender legs are exposed to the air, which looks simply too dazzling. In particular, Xiao Feifei's outfit, the home clothes on the upper body look particularly loose. The graceful curves of her body, along with the way Xiao Feifei walked, were simply impeccable and perfect. The cool queen-like temperament, matched with a simple high ponytail. If it is dressed up in daily clothes, it must be the kind of queen-like temperament that is fully displayed. But today is a little different. The homely outfit makes Xiao Feifei look cool and heroic, while also revealing a bit of the feeling of a pure girl. To be honest, if this were to go out, I'm sure everyone would stare at me with astonishment. I'm not sleepy yet. Let me help you. Although Xiao Feifei's tone was still cold, for those who knew her, this was already quite difficult. At least, now Xiao Feifei is actively participating in Su Yang's hobbies, but before? At this moment, Xiao Feifei either had not finished get off work yet, or had gone to bed early after getting off work. Apart from a few fixed meetings every week, we don't have much time to communicate with Su Yang. Dad, I want to help too. The little guy trotted over. She didn't look sleepy at all. Su Yang naturally did not refuse. Although he could finish all of this by himself, it was better to have someone help than to have no help at all. Because there were no stalls set up this afternoon, many people in the penguin food group were still hungry. The sounds of grief were so widespread that if one didn't know better, one would think that some tragedy had occurred in the group. Su Yang was teaching the little guy how to wash mung beans step by step. These mung beans need to be washed at least 3 times in clean water, and be careful to wash away all the dirt. Nono doesn't want to have a stomachache after drinking mung bean smoothie, right? The little girl nodded obediently. In order to prevent herself and her father's guests from having stomachaches, she put in great concentration and worked very hard while washing the mung beans. Xiao Feifei was assigned to help remove the shrimp threads. Su Yang's crystal shrimp dumplings are made with real ingredients, all of which are fresh shrimps that are purchased daily. Xiao Feifei needs to cut off the shrimp whiskers and shrimp legs, and finally pick out the shrimp thread and peel out all the shrimp meat inside. To be honest, this is a job that requires a lot of patience and carefulness. If you rush a bit, the shrimp meat will easily fall apart and become a mess. Xiao Feifei was fully focused and serious like never before. When she was managing the hotel before, she didn't feel anything. It wasn't until she started to handle the ingredients herself that she discovered that cooking wasn't that simple. Every step forward requires incredible detail. If this were done in one's own hotel, a chef would have at least 3 or 4 professional assistants. It's hard to imagine how Su Yang managed to make every dish to perfection by himself. Could it be that he is taking some strong drugs in private? Chapter 285. Whose child is this? Can you take him away quickly? The little girl Su Inua was very serious about rubbing more than 30 kilograms of mung beans. She rubbed her clean and white little hands back and forth for a long time. It can be said that in order to avoid getting an upset stomach, he even used all his strength to suck milk. Su Yang said that the clean water should be filtered at least 3 times. But the little guy directly chose to filter it 5 times. Rinse repeatedly with clean water, and every mung bean will look clean and shiny. Dad, look at me. How am I? Am I awesome? The little guy finally washed the mung beans, wiped the sweat from his forehead, his face filled with a happy and proud expression. Our nuo is awesome. Su Yang was not stingy and gave the little guy a big thumbs up. With Su Yang's praise, the little girl became even more excited. She opened her arms in the kitchen as if she was about to take off. I'll go see how mommy is doing. After flying for a while, the little guy finally landed on the land. But without any rest, he ran happily to Xiao Feifei's side. Su Yang smiled and shook his head, then continued to knead the dough seriously. It took a while before the dough was finally kneaded. Next, just put the kneaded dough on the chopping board and wait for it to rise naturally. However, different chefs have different requirements for the time it takes for the dough to rise. Su Yang glanced at the time displayed on his mobile phone and had a rough estimate of the time in his mind. Taking advantage of this time for the green beans to rise, Su Yang started to add the washed green beans into the stainless steel heating bucket. Then pour clean water into the stainless steel heating barrel. The ratio of clean water to mung beans is exactly 6:1. Finally, add the yellow rock sugar and lemon slices you bought. When everything is ready, just add some ice cubes to make the cooking mung beans become sandy faster and easier. The mung bean paste produced in this way will have a more delicate taste. Su Yang was just about to open fire to carry out the final step when he suddenly heard the little guy's very nervous voice. Dad, Mommy, her fingers are bleeding. The little girl Su Inua said anxiously to Su Yang. It can be seen that she still cares about her mother Xiao Feifei very much. Su Yang put down what he was doing and walked over quickly. What's going on? As Su Yang looked over, he saw that Xiao Feifei was bleeding on her finger, with a small shrimp next to it. It's nothing. I just got accidentally poked by the sharp spines of the shrimp head. Xiao Feifei clenched her fingers and frowned. Although Xiao Feifei tried her best to act as if nothing had happened, don't underestimate this kind of wound. Although it's not serious, the tiny, piercing pain still made Xiao Feifei feel a little uncomfortable. Dad, look at Mom's finger. Blood is still flowing. The little guy was a little anxious, but didn't know what to do for a while. She looked at her mother Xiao Feifei's bleeding finger, then raised her head to look at her father Su Yang. Su Inua suddenly had an idea and remembered the scenes in the anime. Dad, I get it. The little guy was very excited and felt like he was a genius. You can put your mom's finger in your mouth, so it won't bleed. The little guy Su Inua spoke very seriously. But both Su Yang and Xiao Feifei were silenced by her. Just now Su Yang wanted to say something funny or something like that. Now he just wants to ask, whose baby is this? Can you please take it away quickly? What nonsense are you talking about all day? I put Xiao Feifei's finger in my mouth. Is this appropriate? Although it's not that I haven't sucked it before, but it was always Xiao Feifei who sucked it. Cough cough. Su Yang coughed twice lightly, then walked over and grabbed Xiao Feifei's hand. Cool and soft. Su Yang looked carefully at the wound on his finger. Fortunately, there are no major problems. The shrimps are all fresh and clean. But in order to prevent bacterial infection, it's best to squeeze out the blood clot. Yeah. Xiao Feifei did not refute. Although her fingers were a little painful, she could still bear it. Just bear with it. I'll be quick. Su Yang said calmly, but felt something was odd. Xiao Feifei's face turned slightly red. Su Yang pinched the part of Xiao Feifei's finger where it was stabbed, then squeezed it gently and hard. Bright red blood slowly flowed out from the wound on her white and tender fingertips. Xiao Feifei had a cold face, bit her lips tightly, frowned, and said nothing. This looked very much like the first time they were together, but at that time, their relationship was still very passionate. Hiss. Along with Xiao Feifei's weak voice, Su Yang had already brought a bar of soap. I helped Xiao Feifei clean it carefully and made sure there was no problem. Finally, I wiped it clean and put on a Psyduck Band-Aid. Xiao Feifei's fingers no longer hurt as much, and the uncomfortable feeling has also improved a lot. She looked at Su Yang in front of her, his angular and handsome face, and his focused look. To be honest, any girl would be moved. Especially, my hand was being held by Su Yang, and the temperature of that big hand was really warm. Just when Xiao Feifei was somewhat immersed in the moment, the little guy Su Inua came up to her at an inopportune time, pouting and blowing on her fingers. Hoo-hoo. Mom, let me blow on you. It won't hurt anymore. The little girl Su Inua looked very serious. Her little cheeks were puffed up, and Xiao Feifei couldn't help laughing when she saw it. Even Su Yang couldn't help but touch the little guy's face. It was so cute. Okay, take your mother to the living room and sit down to rest. I'll take care of the rest. Su Yang gave the order, even though Xiao Feifei felt that what happened was just an accident and a small problem. But they couldn't resist Su Yang's serious look, and they were kicked out of the kitchen along with the little one. Wow, wow, wow. The little guy felt a little aggrieved. But soon, she adjusted herself and saw her mother Xiao Feifei sitting on the sofa, looking at her finger with a band-aid on it. The little girl poured Xiao Feifei a glass of her favorite lemonade. Mom, drink some water. Xiao Feifei reached out and took it, then took a sip. The sweet and sour taste is indeed quite good. I think it must have been specially blended by Su Yang, and the taste is slightly different from the one I bought before. This lemonade tastes much better. Xiao Feifei is very happy now, not only because the lemonade tastes good, but more importantly, her sweet baby, the lovely girl Su Inua, finally knows how to feel sorry for her mother. Seeing the moved expression in Xiao Feifei's eyes, the little guy Su Inua spoke with a sly smile. Mom, you know what? I heard that your wound will heal faster if you drink a cold ice cream. Xiao Feifei. Chapter 286. Mom is the most beautiful woman in the world. Xiao Feifei was speechless. As expected, she couldn't have any special expectations for the little guy at all. The last second I thought she had grown up, become more sensible, and knew how to feel sorry for herself. But he exposed himself the next second. It turned out that he was just trying to find a reason to eat ice cream. My goodness, she is such a smart little girl. How about it, Mom? Do you want to try it? The little guy Su Inua spoke tentatively, his eyes full of anticipation. She didn't get to eat it at her grandparents' house just now, and finally she got home and found another chance. Really? Why haven't I heard of it? Xiao Feifei said coldly, unable to help but secretly thinking in her heart. Go ahead and act. I want to see what excuses the little guy comes up with. It's true, Mom. I heard it from the beautiful sister next door. Su Inua blinked her big, Kazalan eyes, very sure. Which big sister? I'll go ask Su Yang to see if he knows. Don't. Mommy. Don't. When the little guy heard that Xiao Feifei was going to find Su Yang to ask for clarification, he instantly became anxious. There is no big sister next door. Almost all the people living in this community are uncles and aunts. Mommy. The little guy threw his head into Xiao Feifei's arms and then said coquettishly, the beautiful big sister I'm talking about is Mama. Isn't Mama beautiful? Xiao Feifei was speechless for a moment. She stretched out her hand, pressed the little guy's forehead, and spoke with a hint of smile on her cold expression. You're praising me like that. Are you just craving for ice cream? No way. The little guy denied it quickly, but after thinking about it, he felt a little embarrassed and said shyly, I really think Mom is the most beautiful woman in the world. Really? Of course it's true. Su Inua thought to himself and added, just like Daddy is the most handsome guy in the world. Okay. Xiao Feifei was helpless and poked the little guy with her finger again. It's just an ice cream. Why bother? I'll get it for you. Hee hee. Su Inua instantly showed a happy smile. Thank you, Mommy. The best mommy in the world. Beautiful Mommy. The little guy flattered the master crazily, praising out all the words he had learned from TV. Okay, I'll get it for you. Xiao Feifei stood up and walked towards the refrigerator. The little guy was so happy that he could finally eat ice cream. She only blamed herself for not realizing it earlier, knowing that she could do something with just a few words of praise. But you will know later that this trick is still very effective when dealing with Mom. Mom, I want strawberry-flavored ice cream, the little guy reminded in a baby voice. At the bottom of the frozen layer. New. Xiao Feifei walked to the refrigerator in the kitchen and pretended to open it. But when she actually opened the refrigerator door, she turned her head and spoke to Su Yang, who was busy in the kitchen. Su Yang, your daughter wants me to give her ice cream now, and I can't do anything about it. What do you think we should do? After saying that, Xiao Feifei looked at Su Yang very calmly. Su Yang didn't say anything, but rushed out of the kitchen directly. The little guy Su Inua was completely stunned. No, what's going on? Didn't Mom Xiao Feifei go to get ice cream for herself? Why didn't the ice cream come over, but Dad Su Yang came over instead? In particular, there was a malicious, murderous look on his face. Pa, Dad. The little guy was a little timid. Su Yang didn't waste time talking to her, but spoke directly and seriously. Su Inua, I'm officially informing you now that you are not allowed to eat ice cream tomorrow. Oh? The little girl had a complicated expression on her face. Her eyes were full of helplessness, but seeing Su Yang's serious look, she didn't dare to refute a word. Only then did her little head finally react. Was he betrayed by his mother Xiao Feifei? My goodness, Mom Xiao Feifei actually secretly reported me. Woo woo woo. The little guy felt like crying but had no tears. At this time, Xiao Feifei slowly walked out from behind Su Yang. But she was holding a strawberry-flavored ice cream in her hand, which was the little guy Su Inua's favorite flavor. Why? Do you want to eat? Hearing what Xiao Feifei said, the little guy swallowed and couldn't help but nodded. But after feeling Su Yang's gaze, he shook his head frantically again. No, no, I don't like eating this kind of thing. The little guy Su Inua made up his mind and spoke very seriously. Although the little guy said this, after seeing Su Yang turn around and go back to the kitchen, his eyes began to stare at the strawberry ice cream in his mother Xiao Feifei's hand. Even drool was about to flow out from the corners of his mouth. Mom, this ice cream, is it delicious? The little guy asked after swallowing. Well, it's not bad. I think it's okay. What do you think? I don't know. How about I try it and see? That's fine. Xiao Feifei smiled. Really? The little guy came over and was about to take a delicious bite, but Xiao Feifei had already taken the ice cream away. Oh? Su Inua blinked his big eyes. Oh, I don't know what happened. My shoulder suddenly feels a little sore. I don't know what's going on. Xiao Feifei twisted her shoulders and said to herself. The little girl immediately understood what Xiao Feifei meant. She happily ran to the back of the sofa where Xiao Feifei was sitting, then put her two little hands on her shoulders and pressed them hard. Why, Mommy, am I doing okay? Su Inua asked in a very flattering manner, his eyes still fixed on the ice cream in front of him. Not bad. Xiao Feifei was very satisfied. Then, Mommy, can't you reward me? The little guy Su Inua said as he swallowed his saliva. Okay. Seeing how pitiful the little girl looked, Xiao Feifei gave her the less than 1/3 of the ice cream left in her hand. Although it is only 1/3, it is the income from my own labor. And it's the little one's favorite strawberry-flavored ice cream. Su Inua was enjoying the meal so much that he wanted to eat even the popsicle stick. After a while, Su Yang in the kitchen finally finished his work. Nearly 400 cups of mung bean shaved ice and 350 boxes of crystal cakes were made. The beef and rice noodles for the fried beef noodles weighed over 100 kilograms in total, and even the new osmanthus oolong tea had over 200 cups this time. Everything is ready, and we can almost go out and set up the stall. Xiao Feifei and the little guy also stood up and expressed their desire to go with Su Yang. Su Yang had no objection to this, but he still gave Xiao Feifei a few reminders. You can set up a stall, but be careful of him. Don't bend over too much. When Xiao Feifei heard Su Yang's words, she didn't understand at first, but after lowering her head and seeing her loose clothes and the large neckline, she instantly understood what he meant. Xiao Feifei's face turned red. Chapter 287. It's not that she's incapable, but how could she be so strong right from the start? Su Yang rode an electric three-wheeled vehicle, while Xiao Feifei drove a new car with the little one. Xiao Feifei, who was supposed to arrive earlier, actually arrived at the university town at the same time as Su Yang. Xiao Feifei was also a little surprised. Su Yang's driving skills are so good now? That electric three-wheeled vehicle really felt like it was sending sparks out of it. This is really outrageous. I was driving a Xiaomi SU7, and it could accelerate from 0 to 100 meters per second in 2.78 seconds. This hasn't closed the gap between the two of them? At the beginning, Xiao Feifei might still say that she was not serious. But halfway through the journey, she became completely focused and started to become stubborn. But even so, he still couldn't get rid of Su Yang. He watched Su Yang in front of him, sometimes moving in an S shape, sometimes moving in a type 13 through the traffic. Although he knew it was not intentional, it still looked quite ironic. Xiao Feifei secretly summed up the reason for her failure. It was definitely because the little guy Su Inua ate too much today. If the car is carrying too much weight, it naturally won't run fast. When we go back, let the little one ride in Su Yang's car. She will definitely win. After getting off the car, Su Yang had already started to set up the stall slowly. Xiao Feifei looked over and saw it was crowded with people. It's just like shopping at a temple fair. To be honest, when had Xiao Feifei ever seen such a lively scene? In particular, she knew very well that these people were waiting here in advance, all for Su Yang's snack stand. Just a quick glance, and there were at least hundreds of diners. In particular, their quality is quite high, and they have spontaneously lined up in a long queue. Boss Su, hee. I've been looking forward to seeing you for so long that you finally come. Hey, Boss Su, why did you bring more than just the young lady boss here today? Did you also bring the big lady boss here? Wow, wow, wow. Boss Su is so popular. Look at the boss lady. She has such a pretty face and a great figure. I am so envious. Our Wei Wei will probably be jealous. Come to think of it, why hasn't she come recently? It's exam season. Students in school are very busy these days. Oh, no wonder, no wonder. The customers in the queue were chatting and laughing while they came forward and skillfully helped Su Yang set up the stall. Xiao Feifei couldn't help at all and was a little confused at the moment. No, how come these Su Yang diners are so skilled at setting up their stalls? Have you practiced with all of them? Are you here specifically to set up a stall for Su Yang? It is no exaggeration to say that even if you say that these people are street vendors, many people will believe it. After all, the way they set up the stalls was too skilled. With the help of several people, Su Yang's stall was set up in just a few minutes. As boxes of delicious food were placed on the table, Su Yang's food stall officially started selling. Madam Boss, don't just stand there. I want crystal cake, green bean shaved ice, fried beef noodles, crystal shrimp dumplings, and I want a glass of the new osmanthus oolong drink, too. Xiao Feifei was obviously not used to it yet and hadn't gotten into the mood yet. After all, in the past, Su Yang taught her foreplay step by step. Rely on yourself now? Xiao Feifei is a slow-moving type. But fortunately, the little guy is here. Lady Boss Su Inua put on her attitude and handed out boxes of prepared delicacies on the table one by one, and strictly required everyone to scan the code first. As for the settlement of accounts, she doesn't have to worry about it now. In the past, these diners would supervise each other. But today is different, because my mother Xiao Feifei is here. For top students, it is easy to do simple arithmetic in their heads. Especially, it may be troublesome at the beginning, so you need to think more about it. But soon, Xiao Feifei discovered the things these Su Yang's customers buy are almost the same. Every customer in the queue comes up and gets the same simple and rough serving. They're even on the verge of being sold in limited quantities. Therefore, out of 10 customers, almost 8 or 9 of them pay exactly the same price. It doesn't require any brain power at all. Xiao Feifei told the little guy the price each diner should pay while helping him pack up the delicious food on the table. With a steady stream of customers, the two of them can only speed up. At least, he can't be slower than Su Yang, who still needs to have freshly fried beef noodles, right? But, to be honest, even though Xiao Feifei and the little guy had already cooperated well enough, they still couldn't keep up with Su Yang's speed. Gradually, I even started to feel a little flustered. Seeing this, Su Yang smiled slightly and slowed down a little. Only then did Xiao Feifei breathe a sigh of relief. Su Yang was too fast just now. It's not that she's incapable, but how could she be so strong right from the start? Who can stand this? Boss madam, I don't need to pack it up, I can just take it and eat it on the side. Some of the customers queuing up were already extremely greedy. Even in their opinion, packing up the food would only delay their eating speed. Instead of having to unpack it later, why not just leave it unpacked? Anyway, I can just eat on the side of the road, it doesn't matter. Xiao Feifei remained silent about this. Originally, she wanted to say, wouldn't it be a bit inappropriate to eat while squatting? But at a glance, there were quite a few diners squatting on the side of the road nearby. My goodness, these people were really not released from prison? Can't even wait until I get home to eat it? Xiao Feifei looked at the food on the table, one box after another, decreasing at a speed visibly visible to the naked eye. She even felt a little dazed and like she was dreaming. Is business so good nowadays? Isn't it said that the overall economic environment is bad? Even though it's just a street stall, the speed at which it sells out is even faster than wholesale. Next to my ears, there is the sound of Zafubo money arriving into my account that cannot be stopped. This is the first time that Xiao Feifei feels this reminder sound is so annoying. It's noisy. Can't Su Yang's thing be a little smaller? I can't stand it anymore. In the past, when Feng Xiaoya said that Su Yang made a lot of money by selling things on the street, she was a little skeptical. But today, after personally acting as the boss lady on the scene, Xiao Feifei was really convinced. The speed of making money is faster than robbing money. Only the money printing machine can be compared with Su Yang, right? It is no exaggeration to say that every minute and every second of setting up the stall, the money on Zafubo was jumping like crazy. Isn't this much more comfortable than setting up a stall and sitting in an office? Especially, as the president, can my monthly salary be equivalent to what Su Yang earns in one night? It's only been a short time since the divorce, but Su Yang has become so capable at night. Xiao Feifei was really in a trance. Chapter 288 The man who cooks is really handsome. Xiao Feifei took a deep breath and calmed down a little. I have to say, being a big boss lady is quite hard. This has never stopped since it opened. In particular, my packing speed and movements were not even as good as the little guy's. Many times, she was severely disliked by Su Inua. Xiao Feifei still felt a little frustrated. For someone with her strong personality, how could she be inferior to a little guy? Even if it's my most adorable daughter. Gritting her teeth, Xiao Feifei became more and more skilled, and even her packing techniques gradually became perfect. The customers in the queue were all a little surprised. It turned out that this lady boss was not a vase, just a vase for flowers. She is really capable of working. Boss Su is so lucky. Hearing the customers in the queue whispering compliments, it would be a lie to say Xiao Feifei was unhappy. Although she tried her best to maintain her image as a cold queen, the curve of her lips still betrayed her. Xiao Feifei now has a completely different feeling, that setting up a stall is not that bad after all. This feeling is not bad. Xiao Feifei secretly glanced at Su Yang, who had been frying beef noodles since the beginning. Stir-frying, flipping the wok, serving the dish, these are much more tiring than doing it yourself. In particular, Su Yang also pays special attention to the control of taste, striving to ensure that every serving of fried beef noodles has a perfect taste. This requires Su Yang to concentrate at all times. It can be said that just thinking about it makes Xiao Feifei feel it is quite difficult. But after watching Su Yang for a while, he still looked very relaxed. It seems that for him, flipping the wok and precisely controlling the deliciousness are actually easier than packaging. He looks like he is able to handle the task with ease and simplicity. Xiao Feifei had a strong personality, so it was inevitable that there was some worship in her eyes. Su Yang is so awesome now. To be honest, men who cook are really handsome, especially someone like Su Yang. Xiao Feifei looked at Su Yang for several seconds, and even her heartbeat quickened. Although I told myself not to look at it anymore, it would be so embarrassing if I was caught, especially in front of so many people. It would be really embarrassing to lose face in public. Mom, are you tired? Are your hands a little sore? Have a cup of milk tea to relax. The voice of the little guy, Su Inua, interrupted Xiao Feifei's gaze. She recovered quickly and looked at the little guy with a little face in front of her and asked in confusion, "What's the connection between sore hands and drinking milk tea?" Seeing that his little trick was exposed, the little guy quickly found an excuse for himself. "Of course it does. Mom, think about it. Do you feel better after drinking milk tea? When your mood changes, your hands won't feel sore anymore." The little guy's logic is very meticulous and almost impeccable. Looking at Su Inua's raised little head, Xiao Feifei almost couldn't help but hit him on the head in public. This little guy is talking more and more nonsense, and yet I can still come up with so many crooked excuses to justify myself. Oh no, it's not entirely fallacy. There is some truth in what she said. Xiao Feifei also felt like drinking milk tea. After all, I have been helping Su Yang for so long, and all the money has gone into Su Yang's zafubo. It's not too much to just have a cup of milk tea for myself, right? Xiao Feifei's eyes and the little guy's eyes were looking at the man who was frying beef noodles with one another. The pressure instantly came to Su Yang. Su Yang smiled and said, "Drink if you want, but drink less, or you won't be able to sleep at night. And Su Inua, be careful not to wet the bed at night." I won't wet the bed." The little girl Su Inua protested angrily, but her voice became smaller and smaller. If she drank too much milk tea, she would not be very sure. "Isn't Mom here tonight?" Su Inua suddenly remembered and looked at Xiao Feifei with bright eyes. Xiao Feifei said coldly, "I won't wash your sheets." After that, she repeated it firmly, "Well, absolutely not." The little guy felt a little desperate. He was so nice to his mother Xiao Feifei, and even took the initiative to get milk tea for her. But my mother doesn't even want to help me wash the sheets, which makes me so sad. The little guy has decided that from now on he and his mother Xiao Feifei will always be second best in the world. The best person in the world can only be Dad Su Yang. Su Yang shrugged his shoulders and said, "You are cute. You have the final say." In order to prevent the little guy from making a big mistake tonight, Xiao Feifei only picked up a cup of milk tea on the table. She first inserted the straw, and then let the little guy, who had been unable to wait, take a sip. It tastes so good dash. Only after the little guy showed happiness and satisfaction on his face did Xiao Feifei take a sip herself. Osmanthus oolong tea, I had drunk several cups of it before, but this time when I drank it, I was still surprised by the wonderful taste of the milk tea in my hand. The fragrance of osmanthus and the mellow taste of oolong tea are intertwined, and slowly flow down the mouth into the esophagus along with the silky, icy sweet milk tea. It is so satisfying. The cold protection on Xiao Feifei's face had disappeared at some point and was replaced by a smile as warm as the sun in spring. People in ancient times often said that one smile can conquer a city and another smile can conquer a country. This is probably what it means. The diners waiting in line were stunned. They couldn't believe that the new boss lady was so beautiful. To be honest, she and Boss Su are really a perfect match. These two people are the perfect interpretation of what it means to be a talented man and a beautiful woman. A perfect match, made in heaven. Unfortunately, what these diners in line don't know is, Su Yang and Xiao Feifei had not only been together for a long time, they had also planned and set up a plan. Unfortunately, in the end, they still ended up getting divorced. Before 9 o'clock in the evening, all the delicious food Su Yang prepared for the stall had been sold out. Although the stall opened much later today than usual, Su Yang prepared more delicious food than usual. Each of the diners in the queue bought their favorite food and returned home very satisfied. As for Su Yang himself, he saved the remaining 2 servings of the last pot of fried beef noodles as a midnight snack. Today, Xiao Feifei and the little guy ate too much. Just from what Su Yang saw, there were at least 2 servings of crystal shrimp dumplings, a box of crystal cake, a cup of osmanthus oolong drink, and a cup of green bean shaved ice. It's okay for Xiao Feifei to eat so much herself. After all, with her figure, she still has a lot of room to gain weight. But how could the little guy Su Inua bear it? This was a bit too much of a burden for her small stomach. Therefore, for the 2 servings of fried beef noodles, the best option is to give Xiao Feifei and Su Inua half a portion each, in addition to one for yourself. Chapter 289. Only 20,000 for 2 hours, is that a lot? 420 servings of fried beef noodles, 350 boxes of crystal cakes, 400 cups of mung bean shaved ice. All sold out. After returning home, Xiao Feifei began to help Su Yang calculate today's income. About 25,653 yuan. Su Yang said lightly. Xiao Feifei didn't believe it, so she used the calculator on her phone for a long time and verified it 3 times, and it was really 25,653. Not even a point off. Xiao Feifei looked at Su Yang in disbelief, but the latter was very calm, as if this was not a very difficult thing. The profit from the stall is roughly the amount of food I cook. In fact, I should estimate it in my mind before setting up the stall. Excluding the temporary little ones? Su Yang said as he took a breath and looked at Xiao Feifei, meaning that today it's not just the little ones, but also Xiao Feifei who will start eating and drinking on the spot. Xiao Feifei blushed slightly. She couldn't blame herself for that. Wasn't it the little guy who seduced her without any moral principles? It's easy to calculate if we remove the income temporarily consumed by the little guy, Su Yang said with a smile. Xiao Feifei nodded. That's right. However, this method is probably only suitable for Su Yang himself. After all, which serious stall owner can be sure that all the ingredients he prepares will be sold out before setting up the stall? The most outrageous thing is that no matter how much or how little Su Yang makes, there will never be any food left over from his stall. In his situation, it is of course easy to calculate his income. As for other normal street vendors, it is not that simple at all. The number 25653 was still echoing in Xiao Feifei's mind. This is the income in less than 2 hours. This is not even Su Yang's entire day's earnings from setting up his stall. You know, she now knows very well that Su Yang sets up a stall not only at night, but also in the morning and afternoon. Although the income may not be as high as at night, it is not that bad. It's outrageous. Is this still the street vendor in my world? Can it still be played like this? Compared with Su Yang, what am I? The president of a hotel chain? Xiao Feifei did some calculations and found that the net profit of this kind of street stall is actually very high. Although Su Yang strictly controls the quality of the ingredients, after deducting the costs, there is still a net profit of at least 20,000. That's about right, Su Yang said calmly. In his eyes, this little money didn't seem to cause any ripples at all. Only 20,000 for 2 hours, is that a lot? I even made $300,000 in less than 2 hours. Weren't you? Xiao Feifei, there too? Xiao Feifei. At this moment, Xiao Feifei was completely silent and didn't even want to look at Su Yang. What is Versailles? This is fucking Versailles. Okay, go wash up, leave this to me. Su Yang looked at Xiao Feifei, who seemed a little too surprised, and asked her and the little guy to take a bath first. After all, he experienced this kind of thing almost every day, and there was nothing to be surprised about. Even the little guy Su Inua felt that it was normal. Just 20,000, is it a lot? Isn't mom a rich woman? Why would she care about such a small amount of money? The little guy raised his head and looked at his confused mother Xiao Feifei for a while. And finally his eyes fell on Su Yang, who was about to start washing the car. Dad, let me help you. No need. I'll be quick. Take your mother to wash first. Su Yang gave the order. The little guy nodded obediently, stood on tiptoe, and pulled his mother Xiao Feifei's white and soft hand. Only then did Xiao Feifei slowly recover. Can you do it alone? Is it too hard? Xiao Feifei couldn't help but speak. She actually knew it in her heart. Although she was very tired today, she even wanted to take a shower and rest early. But compared with Su Yang, what does my tiredness matter? You know, all these delicious foods on the stalls were prepared in advance by Su Yang alone. Even when he was setting up the stall, he would stir-fry beef noodles on the spot, without stopping for a moment. Now that I'm back, I still need to clean the dining car and tidy up. It's so hard. Although the two have divorced, it is still okay for friends to care about each other. Really, there's no need. If you're here, it will affect me. Su Yang smiled and refused directly. Seeing this, Xiao Feifei said nothing more. She pulled the little guy into the house to wash up. After seeing the two leave, Su Yang also began to clean and work seriously. He put on special slippers, rolled up his trouser legs and sleeves, then connected the water pipe in the yard to the hose and turned it on. The clean water flowed through the hose into the large basin that Su Yang had prepared in advance. In it were some pots and pans that needed to be washed, as well as plastic baskets for storing things. Su Yang is a very serious person about his work, and he even takes every corner of the tables, chairs, and benches seriously. Although the workload seems huge, fortunately, every time the system draws a lottery, some cleaning supplies such as detergent will be randomly given away. The props produced by these systems have a cleaning ability that far surpasses any product on the market. Once applied, they can be easily cleaned with almost no effort, even like new. This is also the reason why Su Yang doesn't want Xiao Feifei to help here. The products produced by these systems, even if they are simple cleaning and decontamination tools, are so unique. Su Yang doesn't have the hobby of handing over good things he finds to the country and receiving 500 yuan and a banner. He just wants to do what he can and take care of the little guy so that he can grow up healthy and happy. As for the rest, they are just along the way. Sure enough, in less than 20 minutes, Su Yang cleaned the dining car inside and out. He clapped his hands and slowly let out a sigh of relief. The refreshing feeling of washing away all the dirt is something that only those who understand will understand. It is really quite stress-relieving. Su Yang walked into the house with a relaxed look on his face. He had just picked up a glass of water in the living room when he ran into Xiao Feifei, who was coming out of the bathroom. She had just finished taking a shower and was about to use a hairdryer to blow-dry her hair. Now Xiao Feifei is wearing a cartoon t-shirt of her own. Due to the different degree of development of her chest muscles, it looks particularly obvious on Xiao Feifei. It's the kind that, once you take one look at it, it's hard to take your eyes away. She was wearing a pair of light-colored shorts on her lower body. Because they were so short, her two straight, white legs were almost completely uncovered. To be honest, although the scenery above is huge, the scenery below is also quite white. For a moment, Su Yang felt a little thirsty again. He drank the water in the cup tactically, but what he smelled was the elegant fragrance from the tips of Xiao Feifei's hair that drifted in the wind.